Hi everyone, happy Women History Month. My name is Lisa Huang-North and I'm currently a product lead at Planet, a space technology company that's using space to help life on Earth. In celebration of Women History Month, I've had the amazing opportunity to speak with 8 product leaders over the past few months. And today, I'd love to share their stories with you in this 8-part interview series, which I'm calling The Paths to Product. Today, we'll get to hear the story of Astika Gupta, who is currently a senior product manager at eBay.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you. Today, we have Astika Gupta with us, and I'm really excited to hear about your path to product. You started as a systems engineer at Infosys and moved up the career ladder where you went from engineer to product manager, and then you went into product manager from e-commerce onto enterprise SaaS, working at Microsoft, and now you are a new senior product manager at eBay, or back to eBay because you spent some time there. So congratulations. I'd love to hear more about your path into product.
Yes, I started as a systems engineer. My background has been in engineering. I completed my bachelor's in engineering and electronics and telecommunication with a minor in computer science. The computer science and the entire coding aspect of it really interested me at that point. That's the reason I joined Infosys, and I was there for a good 3.5 years. I really enjoyed my time there developing products end to end. So I used to work on a full stack Java suite. I really enjoyed my time there, but I think after 2 years, I pretty much realized that a developer's job is very smart. It doesn't give you a lot of opportunities to meet with people on a regular basis and to take decisions in a collaborative way, although that might have changed now. I felt that is the case. I'm a people's person, so I enjoy actually spending time with people, decisions in every aspect of a product life cycle. That is the reason that I realized that, okay, maybe software development is not for me. At that time, I didn't realize that product management is the right path for me. I just knew what didn't work for me. I didn't know what did work for me or what will work for me. And that's the reason that I chose to pursue a master's degree from the US. And I completed my master's from UC Berkeley in information management and systems. And I chose that course because, again, the mindset that I was before that was I just don't want to do software development, just that. I want to do something in addition to that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is a role out there that gives me both opportunities, like kind of 50-50 divide, then I would be more interested in that. Berkeley, it gave me a lot of freedom to choose what kind of courses I wanted and make my own curriculum out of it. There were just like 4 core courses. It gave me an opportunity to take a course from the design school, to take a course from the engineering school, management school, and all the other sorts of schools that were there on campus. And that really helped me build a well-rounded portfolio, if you may. I got more confidence in having a well-balanced portfolio. Come 1 year into the master's, there was a career fair that happened at Berkeley, and I ended up going there, standing in lines at the various booths. Career fairs are so much fun, but they're so exhausting. No food, no water, you're just standing in line. There I met with, I think, few companies, including eBay, Expedia, and a couple more, PwC. So PwC invited me for an interview for technical consulting. eBay and Expedia ended up calling me for product management. And that was the first time at that career fair that I actually learned about the word product manager. I mean, what is a product manager? Can you actually explain more to me? Because in India back then, I had never heard of a term called product management. I had heard what project management is. So I always thought that, okay, product management is maybe something that requires an MBA, and all those kind of myths that always tag along with product management were also there in my head. They quickly cleared it off for me. I think Expedia just took like a first round kind of interview right then and there.
Wow.
At the career fair. He asked me like 2-3 different questions, and I just was myself. I just said whatever I said, and they're like, "Oh, you're good." I'm like, "Oh, really? I haven't prepared anything." He's like, "No, why don't you come tomorrow and we are having the next round?" And I cleared all 3 interviews. I got offers from all 3 of them, so that was exciting. In a matter of a week, I had both technical consulting and product management. And then came the important decision of choosing one over the other. I eventually went with eBay. At eBay, I was 3 months. That was super exciting. I got to meet different lovely people there and worked at a super cool project on daily deals. So that was cool. And then I realized that, okay, product management is something that I do enjoy. It's right up my alley. So it is something that really fits what I was looking for. When I came back to Berkeley for my second year of master's, I deliberately chose courses in UX research, UI design, product management essentials. There was agile project leadership as well. So I took those courses because now I knew that, yes, this is what I want to do. I enhanced my portfolio of courses again. And then, contrary to what I faced in my internship journey, where I was very lucky to have 3 or 4 different offers, come full time, I had absolutely no offers. And I was like, oh, what's
The
the
stress is
matter?
on.
It stresses on. And I just had literally 2 months until my graduation, and everybody is placed in my cohort except us 5 people who want to become product managers. There is a pattern here. I heard from different people, yeah, it is a little tough to actually enter product management for various reasons. You need to have like an MBA. You don't have prior product management experience. One other reason, good reason that I've heard in the industry is that, oh, there's just one product manager with like 10 different developers. So there's obviously going to be less opportunities
Oh, I
for a
see.
product management. What have I actually chosen? Will this ever come true in my life? I kept at it.
Yeah.
I literally reached out to every single company in the Bay Area. And then I was lucky to have 3 or 4 interviews. I then eventually chose Elo Touch Solutions. I went there as an associate product manager. I think the entry level product management position at their company. I think what I've seen, even though you have past experience, if it's in a different career, you are most likely entry level product management position. And I think it should be like that, because product management is a different level job. You gotta wear multiple hats there. It's better if you start at an entry level or maybe like an early in career position, even though you have some experience in another background, so that you give yourself some time to scope with it. I learned a lot in those 8-9 months that I was at Elo, but I did realize that maybe switch the domain. They were in hardware products. I wanted to work in a software product. That's how I landed up in Microsoft. Contrary to the past experiences when I was looking for my first full-time job, when Microsoft came to me, I did a lot of research and I met with a lot of current product managers at Microsoft and other places. And I realized that, oh my God, the prep is completely different. What was I even doing? Like there are these different kinds of questions that are always asked. There is a structure here. You also gotta read a lot on what's happening in the product industry to sound relevant in your interviews as well. I purchased all these books and I was just like at it 10 hours a day for at least 2 weeks before my interview. So I brushed up on all the skills and luckily I was able to get Microsoft offers. It was
Lots
hard.
of learnings.
It was lots of learning, but I did realize eventually product management is not like rote memory or something that you gotta remember something. It just, you become that person because you are a product enthusiast. You understand, you have a
practicing it
product
daily.
sense. Yeah, and you're honing on your product sense, and that's who you become. That's great. You study once and then it's there with you for a lifetime. It's a good ROI on your investment. I think for eBay, and also I was interviewing at Amazon as well, but I chose eBay. It was not 2 or 3 months of rigorous practice. I think in 2 or 3 weeks, I managed to sort of clear my interviews. So I was at Microsoft for about 3 years. It was just awesome at Microsoft. The culture there, the people there, the cutting edge technologies and everything. So I was really, really grateful. The one thing that I had not sort of touched upon in my Berkeley courses or in my past jobs was working on the data side of products. I was mostly on the front end, and that was my main love, meeting with customers, doing UX research or UI design. At Microsoft, the first project that I was given was completely on data. And I was like, oh my God, I don't
brand new
what
field.
is like, this is a brand new field. I've studied databases as part of my curriculum as in software engineering, but it was not the same. There was a bit of ML involved. You had to work with engineers and data scientists, and it was a completely new field for me. But I saw it as an opportunity in a way, because I just knew that as a product manager, the more feathers you have in your hat, the better it is for you. So I was like, yes, this particular zone is something that it's an untapped market for me. Why not take it as an opportunity and learn? I led experimentation efforts for Windows updates at Microsoft, and given experimentation, every single thing around experimentation is related to metrics and data. That came as a blessing in disguise. I was really happy with that. And a couple other projects as well that I led was around customer dissatisfaction. When I touched 3 years at Microsoft, around that time, I realized still my love is being out there in front of customers and being on the pages on apps that customers are actually interacting with on a daily basis. Once you are confident in your skill set and you know that you have a toolkit with different kinds of tools, is when you can actually decide what you actually want to invest the next few years on. That was my reasoning behind coming to eBay, because here I work as a checkout PM. So I'm actually working on the checkout page.
The ultimate customer workflow.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so important, right, for customer conversion and order transactions and stuff. So this is a really great opportunity. I felt that as a senior product manager, obviously you are increasing the realm of your responsibilities. You're not just working on projects, you're product owner for some, your product managers for some. In my head, I was mentally prepared for going up that level, increasing my realm of responsibilities. So that was my thought process in sort of going from PM to senior PM. It has to come to you naturally. You need to feel prepared that, yes, I can now take up on bigger challenges, because the more you go up the ladder in product field, it becomes challenging because the problems become more abstract.
Yes.
The responsibilities become more in quantity, the broadening of scope. You are the face of your team for different partner teams. So it comes with a lot of responsibility. Let's see how it goes.
Sounds like you have been preparing for a while. And I really love what you said about finding different skill set and adding feathers to your head, so that by the time you emerge out of that experience, I have the data-oriented skills, because I'm sure at eBay you still continue to do experimentation and use data to make those decisions. But you're able to say, all right, at this juncture, I know what I love and I know what I want to get deeper into. So making the right career decision for your professional and personal growth as well.
In order to look at a problem from a bird's eye level view, you need to actually spend a lot of time in the depths, in the weeds first. And that's how you come, up. And I had a few mentors, luckily, and they guided me that, yes, these 3-4 years that are early in career for you, you have to really work it out. Only then will you get that high level view. So that's another piece of advice for others looking to come into product management.
That's wonderful. Thank you. That advice is solid gold. I think there's a lot of value in starting, even if it seems like a junior role, and even if it's a step down from wherever you're coming from, acknowledging that breaking into a new field encompasses a lot of new lessons and new learning. Managing expectation too. If you're making a career transition, and let's say previously you're a director at some company, to make that lateral move into director of product management, the expectation will be a lot higher, with the knowledge that, hey, you already come with the data skills, with the front end, with the UX, and with stakeholder management and everything else, which may or may not be true. Grabbing the opportunity by the horn, but also setting yourself up for success and evaluating the trade-off between the two. You touched on this briefly, but I wanted to dive in some more. We typically hear is there's a big difference between working as a PM at a startup versus working as a PM in a large tech company. While you were at Microsoft, you led experimentation efforts for the Windows Update feature. I mean, that must have been so massive because you must have millions of users, and I can't even begin to imagine the body of data.
I was so scared. I'm like, oh my God, this experiment is gonna go out to millions of users. What?
I'd love to hear more about some of the best practice or kind of key lessons that stuck with you around analyzing high volume and high velocity of data.
When you know that eventually it's gonna go out to high volume, Windows updates is sort of a legacy product, so it is there on every single compute that everybody owns. It comes with great responsibilities. One of the best practices that I would recommend is just have a lot of testing, even on your experiment. Experimentation in a way is a testing of a feature so that you can compare like control and treatment groups and see what fits. Even before you roll your experiment out to millions of people, we always rolled it out in phases. Going out to 1% of the million population, we used to call it retail population, people like you and me
Mhm.
who have computers, like consumers. Even before going to 1% of them, 1% of 1 million is also a huge number. We wanted to first test within, say, Microsoft dog fooded, as you call it. We used to roll it to like 100 or 200 devices within Microsoft, then increase the scale within Microsoft. So
Mhm.
first employees get to test it.
Yeah.
Then there is a whole group called Windows Insiders Group at Microsoft, which are consumers, but they've opted to get daily or weekly bills so that they can test it out. We used to roll it out to them. And then once we get enough validation on our experiment is when we used to actually go out and experiment, because you really don't want to roll something out even to that 1% or 1 million, which is not going to stick. It's going to tank customer dissatisfaction. I mean, customer satisfaction even more. And it really depends on the scale. If you're rolling out an experiment to just like 500 people, 1,000 people, then it makes sense to go directly to them 1% and throttle that up. But when you're touching millions of people, you have to be really careful.
Yeah.
So that is one. I used to work with data analysts and data scientists as well on an experiment. Each of us had core responsibilities of what the scope of our work is within that experiment. Just as a product manager, you are responsible at the end for the end-to-end delivery of a product or an experiment that gets launched. What I used to do was look at the dashboards the first thing in the morning, every single day. I wanted to be out there and I felt that sense of responsibility that, yes, I need to do it. The other people that I'm working with were super smart and they were super responsible as well. But I just wanted to provide my pair of eyes on
It's
that.
keeping your finger on the pulse too, right?
Yes.
There's no better way than to have first row seats and actually
Yeah.
seeing how it's changing and evolving from day to day.
Exactly. And it's your baby at the end of the day, right? You were responsible for that experiment. Let's see what people are thinking about it. What do we roll out next? That is the whole mindset that I had. But the one thing that I sort of lagged and I picked it up in Microsoft was documentation. I now know how important it is to document every single day as a product manager. Documentation was super important. Me being the face of that experiment, I had the pulse of how the experiment is performing, but the entire org or the team involved, the stakeholders involved do not know on a regular basis. It was in my realm of providing value. If I did a weekly summary, one thing that I learned from my team was it's always better to over communicate than to not communicate at all. Don't worry about repeating the same thing twice or thrice. Just make sure that you're always over communicating so that if somebody missed it, they have the chance to jump on it later. Those were the three best practices that I would say.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I'm so glad the last skill is documentation because as product managers, you see that so many people are putting out content, right? And they're writing or they're publishing. Writing skill is really important as a PM. If you're able to proactively communicate, whether it be through weekly updates or just having good docs so that people can self-serve and answer questions, that saves so much heartache later down the road. And it also saves you communication time. You're able to say, hey, read the update or even go through the archive and see that versus, okay, let's get into another meeting. It's going to take us 20 minutes just to give you the context before you even get into the meeting.
Yes.
All of that adds up as well.
Oh my God, documentation is so important. Now I picked up a best practice that I follow it for myself is when I send a meeting invite, if I do not know the agenda of it, I do not send it. I need to know the agenda and communicate it because so that the other person can come prepared. I really appreciate having agendas. So yeah.
Great. So just to round out, I have two last questions for you, which should be more fun. What are some of your go-to sources to stay on top of trends?
I usually like to pick up books that seem interesting on product strategy because what they do is they go over cases of different companies and make you understand why a company chose to launch a product in this market in that year. So that really opens up your mind and what actually people at the top are thinking when they're making such strategic decisions. Ultimately, I think the goal for me is to hone my product strategy skills because that is something I feel that it comes with time as well, but you can expedite that process if you're also reading on other stuff. I listen to a lot of product podcasts as well when I'm driving or whenever I feel bored or something. If I have subscribed to Harvard Business Review and then Business Insider and all these economists and all these wonderful sites so that I am updated with what's going on with the industry. So those would be my go-to. Although I should point out that it's not a ritual for me to do it every single day. It's also time consuming.
Yeah.
And connecting with people. Connecting with people is super important. I'm talking to you now. So I love talking to people in general, but if you also have an agenda, I think there are a couple sites where you can just have like one-on-ones with people and just chat about whatever your interests are. So that's again a good way of exchanging information.
Last question. What's one piece of advice you would give to your 20-something-year-old self?
Oh, wow. There has to be so much. So I think the one thing that I've learned so far is, which I did not follow when I was 20 years old, is to live in the moment. I was always a planner, a hardcore planner. Like I needed to know what I'm going to do in
Excel
the next
spreadsheets and your post
Excel spreadsheets. Yes. And even that thought process. I would say that just be in the moment. I mean, it's good to have an overview plan of what you want to achieve so that you know what you need to do now. So if I have a goal that I want to achieve in the next 5 years, I will start planning, but that's usually me. Apart from that, I have realized that in doing that, you are compromising on what's your present. Maybe there are other opportunities, bigger opportunities right now. So just be open, have your eyes, ears, nose, everything open to what's happening in the moment as well. Yes. So that's just a piece of advice for life, not just product management.
I love it. I think that's been a great lesson from pandemic as well, with all of us kind of locked down and staying at home and realizing, wow, there is a lot outside of work that maybe we weren't aware of, but just spending time with friends and family, being able to travel to see family. Used to be, oh yeah, of course, I do that once a year or something around that. Now pandemic, I think, has highlighted the importance of having those factors in our life beyond just work and just personal aspects as well.
Right.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate our chat today. So thank you for taking the time.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. And thanks, Lisa, for inviting me. Really appreciate that.
Of course.
Wonderful. I hope you enjoyed today's interview series and be sure to check back to hear from the other 7 amazing product leaders. Thank you and happy Women History Month.